Hello everybody and welcome to Shelve, Store, or Sell, presented by Crushing Comics. This is the show where I go through my massive collection of stored comics. They've been packed up since at least 2017 when I moved to New Zealand, some even since before, and figure out, do they have a place on my shelves? Do they have a place still being stored in what I call the stacks, or do they need to get out of here? This box is called Cable and Custom Binds. And now that I just took off the lid, it is not exactly what I was expecting. So this should be pretty interesting. This allows me to show off something that I have mentioned a number of times, which is one of the few times that I actually sent something out and got it custom bound. I had 2 runs of the Savage She-Hulk. This is her original debut series. And I decided, wow, this is beautiful. This reminds me why I'm into this whole thing to begin with. And I sent it off as an experiment, since I had 2 and it's easily mapped, to get bound, I believe, by Herring and Robinson. And I got it back, and it just has plain white cover boards. Cover paper and paper. I didn't do anything fancy. And it is the complete run. Now, of course, we have this in Marvel Masterworks now, but this is, this makes me appreciate why I was planning to do this before. There's just something magical to seeing these comics on the original paper with the original advertisements. I love old comics advertisements. Collected, and honestly, this brings me great joy to flip through. I'm happy we have the Masterworks, and there's 2 Masterworks, and I got this all into one bind. I probably paid about $25 for this bind. I forget how much I paid for this run, and it's lovely. It's just beautiful. It's got this, it's not leather, it's buckram. And I really like this stamping with these big bold letters. I just went with the title and the years along the bottom. I chose to say 1980. I feel like this series might be numbered 1979, but I'm sure I had my reasons when I researched it. So now, of course, that's been duplicated, but I don't think I knew the Masterworks were going to happen at that time, and it just seemed like an easy thing to get bound. Now, I would still display it. In fact, it is going to be a shelf because I just think it's a beautiful artifact. And it kind of makes me sad about some of these ones that I'm saying I'm going to sell, because like Marvel already collected them. This was going to be a really cool bookshelf, but it was going to be really high effort, and it was based on binderies that are in the States that I don't have available to me here in New Zealand. But this other one is very much a keep on the shelf. This is the Saga of the Submariner. I've dated it 1939 through 1989 because Marvel used to do these books called the Saga of something. This was more common in the 80s because you couldn't get these originals. And the saga would pretty much recap, sometimes with original art, sometimes with redrawn art, the original tale of these people. I'm actually going to open this just like I would open an omnibus and give it a stretch, just because it's been, at least 4 years since I've seen it. So what I collected here is there's the Saga of the Submariner series. I think it was 12 issues. So it really comprehensively covered all of his history. And I was like, Marvel's never going to collect this because why would it? It's like, it's not even a reprint. It's like a summary series, right? And, but they did eventually collect it. But then I put my own little thing on the end of it because he had I want to say like a 1988 miniseries that hadn't been collected yet and didn't seem like they would pair it with his John Byrne series. So I was like, hey, let's also, these pages are stuck together. Why would they be stuck together? I guess there's like a little tape spot on one of them. Some person, I'm sure prior to me, let a little bit of the tape from the bag snag on this one cover. So yeah, I collected that series in the back as well, which was called Prince Namor the Submariner. And I love these. This is such a reminder. I clearly got the edges trimmed because they're super beautiful flush. This paper's a little bit newer than that She-Hulk paper because even the Saga series was from 1984. I actually got a ribbon binding in this. And if I recall, one of these is bound differently than the others. This one. So this one is, I think, sewn through the spine. I don't know that we have the time to adjudicate this here. I guess I just have to get to the middle of an issue to see. Yeah, this one you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there is sewing through the front of the page here. So this is not sewn through the spine, which is why I think it's such a square binding because they've sewn across. Whereas this Submariner one, if I can get to the middle of an issue, I think this one is, no, maybe not. Maybe it's the other way. In any event, they're both bound beautifully because here I am in the center. No, I can see it. There's a thread right down this page. I don't know if there's any way to get you close enough to see that. So this is sewn down the center. So this is beautiful. This is going like right onto the shelf immediately. Gosh. And it makes me so sad I didn't have time to do more of those, but I was in the accumulation phase, and then literally in 2016, I started putting them together and packaging them to be bound, and then 2017 was like, oh, we might move to another country, and then here we are. So now I have cable. And I've got it all. And this is from that same store I mentioned last episode. I remember this was why I went there. I was looking for this specific run of cable, and they had it on eBay, but it was a store that was not that far away. I was a pretty new driver because I learned to drive late in life. And I called them and I'm like, if I came into the store, would you like waive the eBay fees or like cut me a little bit of a deal? And they're like, yeah, we'll give you like 20% off the eBay costs. And I was like, great. So I drove to the store and I knew I was getting this one cable run. And then I just went wild, like anything they had that had not been collected. And I didn't have my laptop or anything. I think I just was like going off of like, all right, what am I pretty sure there's not a collection of? So this it starts with Ghost Rider and cable. Number one, I don't know why I think this one's collected. I might have to take a quick look at that. Okay, I figured it out. This is actually a collection of stories from Marvel Comics Presents. So it collected a number of serialized Cable and Ghost Rider stories that were in Marvel Comics Presents into its own comic. I bought this originally because I thought I would want to bind it with cable runs, but then I think what happened is I got a complete collection of all of Marvel Comics Presents, which we will hit at some point. I don't know what I'll say other than here they all are. And so this I put aside, but I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, this has been collected with any cable at this point. So it's kind of like I still want to hang on to it. It's not square bound, but it's a nice collection, and I think I would probably put it in my cable shelf with all the trade paperbacks. So I think that is actually surprisingly a store to kind of reunite with the other cable trade paperbacks, which are not in here. This appears to be mostly singles. But then here, I clearly was picking up from the end of the original cable classics, because this is cable number 33. And oh my gosh, I mean, we'll try to go through this quickly. Maybe I'll speed it up. Do you want to do some sped up stuff? Let's do it. Okay, ready? Here we go. All right, I don't know if that was as exciting as I was hoping it to be, but this has all been collected because there's like cable. I actually went through my guide to make sure there were Cable and X-Force collections and like Cable and X-Force Onslaught collections, and then there's the X-Men versus Apocalypse, the 12 omnibus. And what's really interesting about that is that if we get all the way to issue 71 here, there's an issue that was advertised as being in the original the 12 trades, but in my guide, it says, I love when I leave myself, future Peter, these little notes. It says, this is confirmed to not be in the trades. I've checked my personal copy. So I think they must have excerpted a few issues from that and put it into the trade, or a few pages from that and put it in the trade, and then not the whole issue. But in the omnibus, I just checked in the physical omnibus, they do have it all. So Cable at this point has been fully collected, and I've got it all here. All the way through this kind of very strange, almost end run of Cable before it turned into that the Eager Cordy title that turned into then. I love this cover. I love this cover so much. That's issue 95, and then issue 96 is the last one before that kind of strange end run, which has been collected as Soldier X, even though it's prefaces Soldier X. It used to be in two really ancient trades, but then I think they put it all into a Soldier X hardcover. So that's a run I can easily sell. I have no specific attachment to it, even though it's an X-Men comic, and it's totally duplicated. Totally duplicated. So then, what is this? Oh, wow. I cannot believe I wouldn't have written this on the box. This is a couple of different things. So this is at first a few issues here, which I would have described as Excalibur companion issues. And they're some of the only guest appearances that Excalibur made early in their run, and the omnibuses and the complete collections, complete collections, epic collections, have taken care of these. So that's done. I don't need them anymore. I don't know who I would sell these random 5 issues to, but I mean, I do kind of really love Excalibur. Maybe Maybe I put that back into storage with my original Excalibur floppies because that's like the one thing I'm keeping sentimentally. But then from there, it breaks out into late Excalibur, starting with 104, which is the first issue after Warren. Oh, I'm thinking it's a light effect. No, that's just the cover. The cover just fades up to white there in the corner. I'm like, you're getting a reflection. And so I have the whole end run of Excalibur here, all the way through 125. And then I have some other stuff that I would throw in that you can hear me talking about on the Map My X program on Near Mint Conditions channel, including this issue of X-Men Unlimited, and also the totally amazing covers of Excalibur 1 through 4 from their return in a series that's subtitled Sword of Power, and X-Men True Friends, which we did a lot of arguing about where it should be placed. So clearly, I was going to put that into a bind. It's about 30 issues, so it might have actually been 2 binds. And I'm sure the Kitty Pryde Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. series is in there as well as the Colossus one-shot. So here's the thing. Epic collections will ultimately get there, but Excalibur has been releasing Epic collections sequentially, like in the order that they go. So I don't know how long it's going to be until the Epic collections get there. And I have that sentimental link to Excalibur. So I guess they're like a store for now, because they're not digitized either on Marvel Limited because they haven't been collected. It's kind of like a catch-22. If they haven't been physically collected, they probably haven't been digitized. So that's a keep for now, because I refer to them all the time. And, well, not all the time, but enough. And then once the Epic collection finally gets announced, maybe I would sell that as a whole lot, but that cable's going to go. So this was actually a way more interesting box than I thought. I'm going to move this cable to the end of that cable so I don't mistakenly just pick it right up. And then these beautiful things, gosh, I'm really happy to see them. They're going back on the shelf. So, that is this episode of Shelve, Store, or Sell. And you can see that, like, this is what I mean. I haven't seen them since 2017. I had such a plan. I was like really in the middle of this. And in the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017, I had it all set up. I had all of these spreadsheets and files and things. And then I had to shift my gears to like, how do I get all of these things in boxes and ready to bring to New Zealand? And then also on another level, like, is there anything I'm missing? 'Cause I was looking at the singles comics market in New Zealand being like, this stuff is going to get way harder to get if I wait until there. So I was also trying to fill in runs that needed to be filled in. I sold some things, but I just didn't have time to like list all of these things for sale. And clearly a lot of things have come out in the intervening 4 years that have even replaced some of these. Some of this cable stuff was not collected at the time that I came here. And I still thought it was either a bind or something that I would just always have to refer to in floppies. And since then, this whole series has been collected. So it goes to show you that's why I'm doing this. It's not only to like show off my collection and get reacquainted with my collection, but like to kind of unearth what my plans were. Clearly things changed for a good reason. Like I'm happy to be in New Zealand. My family is happy here. It was a huge, amazing change in life, but that was never my plan. And so a lot of this stuff was kind of just interrupted right in the middle, you know, like a series that got canceled or put on hold for like Age of Apocalypse or whatever. So that's been this episode. I hope you'll come back and hear more of me chatting through over 100 boxes of my comic book collection here on Crushing Comics. And until I come back, and hopefully you come back, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope that you are well.